service that requires you to be in that corner, please avoid the corner. Yes, on that note, I would like to request Guru Maharaj to address us as disciples and well-wishers to formally commence this portion of the Vyasa Puja ceremony. Hare Krishna.
Many of you know, maybe all of you know, that over the last 2 years, I've spent substantial time getting absorbed in and then presenting first the prayers of Prahlada Maharaj and then the teachings of Prahlada Maharaj. And some of you may know, he is one of my first, well, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was the first hero, in addition to Prabhupada, but Prahlada Maharaj was one of my heroes. Like, since I started hearing about Prahlada Maharaj very early, in my first few months living in the Boston Temple, just hearing about Prahlada Maharaj was, I was looking up to him, role model, hero, personality. And fast forward in time, I always wanted to, I did in bits and pieces, but I wanted to, in a systematic way, go more deeply into his prayers and his teachings. And probably 10 times, some incompletely and some in little pieces, the prayers of Prahlada, the teachings of Prahlada. So there's one little section that really resonated, grabbed my attention, grabbed my heart. And that is in the introduction section of chapter 6. So the teachings and the prayers start in chapter 5, they end in chapter 10. That's a lot of chapters. That's 7 chapters. That's a lot. Just Prahlada. So in the beginning of chapter 6, which is his teachings to his classmates, there's 2 sentences that both in the teachings and the prayers I repeated and repeated and repeated, and it inspired me to speak about the topic for this session. So I'm going to read 2 sentences. By accepting the lotus feet of Prahlada Maharaj, who is in the parampara disciplic succession, one will be able to understand the mode of spiritual life. By accepting this mode of activity, there is no need for material qualifications. So the preamble, or the what's required prior to all those nice things, is acceptance of the lotus feet of Prahlada Maharaj. So that's a nice phrase. What does it mean? I mean, how are we going to even find what to speak of access, what to speak of accept the lotus feet of Prahlada Maharaj? Because what does it mean? You know, that I said this morning, what does it really mean? Like, don't give me this, what it doesn't mean. Tell me what it really means. So I've been contemplating that question, and this topic is to discuss those thoughts. In short, it means Shrinvanti, Gayanti, Grinanti. That's what it means. You hear, you vibrate, Shrinvanti, Gayanti, Grinanti. It goes inside. It becomes the guiding light of your life. That's accepting the lotus feet of. So it starts with hearing. Because how do we know? We know the Vedic process is through sound. I shared this morning. I've come to realize, or more and more and more, my faith clearly goes to sound from the right source, from a transparent medium source. I have faith in that. I don't have faith in so many other things, speculation, and certainly not faith in fruitive activities, but faith in sound, shabda, aparusheya shabda. That's Jiva Goswami's language. Aparusheya, beyond the fallibility of a human being. That's aparusheya shabda. That source is Krishna, and to get Krishna source, it requires disciplic succession. I have faith in that. And Prahlada Maharaja in disciplic succession, because he heard from Narada, who heard from Brahma, who heard directly from Krishna. That's disciplic succession. Not the one in the front of our Bhagavad-gita, but it's disciplic succession. So if we hear from Prahlada Maharaj, Shrinvanti, and then we vibrate that which we've heard transparently, no editing, no addition or subtraction, no adding some things or leaving some things out, just transparent reproduction of that sound vibration. Gayanti, Gita, speaking the message of Prahlad. Hearing and speaking, hearing and speaking, hearing and speaking, hearing and speaking. It's the way of Srimad Bhagavatam. My experience is, it goes in. I mean, the potency is there to go in by following that hearing and speaking, hearing and vibrating, in the right mood, in the mood of service, to that sound vibration. It goes in. And what happens when it goes in is what I was discussing this morning, this paradigm shift. That is, you start to, the world around you doesn't change exactly, but how you experience the world around you changes. That's a paradigm shift. Just use a worldly example. Worldly example is scientists. You know, those people that in this world people believe in, if the scientist says, that it must be true because the scientist says. Blind faith in what the science, although they keep changing and changing and changing, because science says, then people believe it. That's the world in which we live today, generally speaking. However, any scientist that's honest will say, here's some data. And scientist A, according to the paradigm that they have, they'll read the data this way. And over there is scientist B, who has a different paradigm, and he'll read the same data differently. Empirical data is read through the filter of the mind. And the mind carries conceptions of life. According to conceptions of life, repeated verifiable information will be read differently. For example. So what's that mind that doesn't have a material paradigm? We have material paradigms. We're conditioned souls. So we also hear, like Bhakta Joe, I've been referring to him now, this fellow that was sitting next to me that doesn't know he's Bhakta Joe yet. Asked, what's the difference between spiritual and material sound? Because I was speaking about, very general terms. I have faith in, I've done multiple types of meditation. Joe, you like meditation. Me too. And after much experimentation, I find most effective, and science has demonstrated it also, therefore it must be true, because science says. And I gave him this, that, the other references, and he could look it up later. Sound vibration is the most effective form of meditation. And amongst sounds, sacred sounds. And amongst sacred sounds is not just something that somebody considers sacred, but actually spiritual sound. So he asked a natural, thoughtful question. How do you identify what is spiritual sound and what's not spiritual sound? That was a good question. He was listening. The light was on. He was wanting to know. So I have faith. I said it this way. Joe, you've had this experience with meditation that tells you there's this place of higher consciousness. Right? Yeah. I didn't know how to say it like that, but yeah, there's a place of higher consciousness. Okay. That place of higher consciousness, beyond that which is temporary, is the eternal place. And that's where we belong. In that place of higher consciousness that's eternal, not the one that you... Not that one. There's a place of higher consciousness that's eternal. And spiritual sound is that which connects you with that place. By definition, you want to know what's the definition. So then how do you tell? That's the next question. That I'm actually connected with that eternal place of higher consciousness. So it was a nice discussion. So I just paraphrased a verse from the Bhagavatam. You know, the one that it says, just like with the eating process after you've fasted, there's a certain experience. Joe, have you fasted before? Yeah. And after you break the fast, what happens? I'll tell you, because it's like everybody's experience. The weakness that you felt from fasting diminishes. The hunger that you had diminishes. At a certain point, you're satisfied. Someone will say, would you like some more? And you say, no, thanks, I'm satisfied. Right, Joe? Yeah. So spiritual sound has the following similar characteristics. What's that? Feelings of wanting to be in service to that place of higher consciousness. I didn't say, God. I didn't say the God word, because you don't do that with new people, Western people at least. You want to be connected with that place. You want to be connected through service with love, and then there's detachment from other things. Those are symptoms of spiritual sound when you're hearing spiritual sound. That's the symptoms by which, that's like the symptoms of sugar. Is it sweet? It tastes something, and it tastes salty. It may look like a sugar crystal, but it's salt, because it's not sweet. And there's symptoms of spiritual sound. These are the symptoms by which you can know. What do you think, Joe? Sounds pretty scientific. I mean, he didn't say that. You can, make your own experiment. And here's some people I'll connect you with some people in Tuscaloosa that have a, little sangha, and they do spiritual sound meditation. Just kept it real simple. I'd be interested. Okay, I'll make the connection. So, sound. Spiritual sound. And when one does come in contact with spiritual sound, it's predictable. I'll repeat something that I heard Shyam Sundar, those of you that are with us this morning. Now you know who Shyam Sundar Prabhu is. He's the temple president in Houston, Texas. And he repeated twice during this japa retreat. My spiritual master, Tamal Krishna Maharaj, when visiting Fiji, he offered people a challenge. He said, you take this mantra and every day chant 16 rounds for 6 months. If nothing happens, I'll give you $1,000. I challenge you. Because I know, we spoke this morning of the faith that Prabhupada had, and someone who has experienced, if you fasted and then you break fast, you know what's going to happen. What's the $1,000, $1 million? If someone at a certain point they're going to say, no, I've had enough. Is there someone that's going to say, keep giving me more and giving me? It's not going to happen. So viraktir anyatra, other things, there's detachment from other things. It's a sign, it's a symptom, just like sweetness of sugar, it's a symptom of spiritual sound that's heard, attentively. Small thing, attention. But even if you're trying for attention, attentive hearing of spiritual sound, then something happens. It's scientific, spiritual science. It can be reproduced again and 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 again. It's subjective, but it's objective. It's fact. So, back to the starting point of this discussion. One who accepts the lotus feet of Prahlada Maharaja. So how do you accept the lotus feet of Prahlada Maharaja? Shinvanti, Gayanti, Grinanti. So the lotus feet of Prahlada Maharaj go into your heart through sound. And something happens. What's that something? Your experience of the world around you, your experience of your journey of life, the experience is different. It's still Chicago, it is still cold. It's not you become a devotee and you don't get old. Or you don't get pains, or you don't get duality. There's duality. But your experience of that duality, happiness and distress, honor and dishonor, pleasure and pain, winter and summer, day and night, the city and the suburbs. Your experience changes. The seat of consciousness changes. And that's what it means to take shelter through sound. But you have to let the sound in. So it's something that may take some time, is hearing again and hearing again and hearing again, and speaking again and speaking again. But let it not be mechanical. Let it be with, I want to know. I shared this with Joe. When I was in college, there was one thing that was really clear to me. There's another reality. Probably, Joe, you shared with me, you've experienced it through meditation. And you wouldn't have done meditation unless you knew that there was this, you had faith. Conviction. There's this other reality, higher reality, besides stuff. There's a higher reality. I know that I don't know. That was another starting point. Because some people think they know and they don't know. They're bluffing themselves and they're bluffing other people. But I knew that I didn't know, and I knew there was this other reality, other higher consciousness place. And I want to be there. I want to experience it, and I want to be there. That was if you remember from this morning, this iceberg, something that doesn't change with circumstance. Many things have changed in my life over the past 48 years. sometimes this side of duality, sometimes that side of duality, but that one thing hasn't changed. And faith that is through sound vibration that I can connect because I've experienced it. Not only experienced it, but that consciousness remains strong even when it's this or that, that the features of duality are going on. That's life. But that one thing doesn't change as duality changes from this to that. So now, what does it mean? What does it really mean to take shelter of the lotus feet of Prahlada Maharaj, or Shri Guru Charana Padma? What does that mean? We sing it. The lotus feet of the spiritual master are the only way by which we can attain pure. So how do you go about taking shelter of the lotus feet of the spiritual master? That song we sing every day. There's other songs we sing every day, or we should be singing every day. So I'm going to, those of you that are used to hearing from me, you're going to get some of our Acharya's teachings, pardon me, but start with Rupa Goswami. And those of you that are familiar with nectar devotion, there's 64 items of bhakti, and the first 5 are on the topic of Guru Pada Ashraya. Guru Pada Ashraya. Ashraya means shelter. Guru Pada, shelter of the lotus feet of the spiritual master. So here's the Sanskrit, and then we'll read how Prabhupada presents it in Nectar Devotion. Guru Padashraya Diksha Gurura Sevana Sadharma Shiksha Pricha. Pricha means inquiry. Shiksha and Pricha. You hear it just Tadvidhi Pranipatena Pariprashnena, same message. Saddharma is eternal principles, as opposed to asat. Sat, dharma, eternal principles. Shiksha, pracha, hearing and inquiring. Then, having heard, sadhu, maganu, gamana. Marga means path, and anu means follow, and gamana. Anu gamana, following the path of sadhus. And so it's guru, then guru introduces you to sadhu. Or, many gurus, many sadhus, many devotees, because sadhu in one sense means a devotee. Sadhu. So there's 5. Guru Padashraya, Diksha, Gurura, Sevana. Render service. You heard, now you render service. Sadharma Shiksha Pricha, Sadhu Bhaganu Garmanam. So, one must accept a bona fide spiritual master. Guru Pada Ashraya, literally shelter at the feet of the bona fide spiritual master. Now, that's Rupa Goswami's writings. It's a small note. Sometimes, this is one of those sometimes, Prabhupada takes the teachings and kind of capsulizes them in a shorter form, which he has done with these 5. Those of you that are accustomed to hearing Srila Prabhupada speak, many, many times, Adau Guruvashrayam, take shelter of the spiritual master. Saddharma Pricha, he leaves out Shiksha Pricha. Saddharma Pricha. Sadhu Maganu Gamanam. So he took the 5 and made it into 3 and kind of consolidated the language to make it easy for us to receive it, rather than, that's his Acharya privilege. So following our founder Acharya, we can recite those, or we can recite Rupa Goswami, and they're both very nice. But it includes this message of Guru Padashraya. Somebody over there outside of ISKCON, there's 2 somebodies. One somebody is a professor of Eastern religion. I won't mention his, Tom Hopkins, was just like fascinated that the devotees that he met, Satsrup Maharaj was one of them, because he was, reaching out to university students with the library party, requesting them to take standing orders, sets of books of Srila Prabhupada, even before they were published, that they took a standing order, and as they were available, they would show up in their mailbox, and they would pay for them as they got them, but sign up for a standing order and endorse it. So, he's a very favorable scholar. And when he met Satsrup Maharaj, he was just amazed at him and others, that they had just like this absolute faith. Satsrup Maharaj shared, Tom Hopkins says, that I was asked to start a Back to Godhead magazine, so I have to get back to my home base and work on. So Tom Hopkins said, do you have any experience in publishing? He said, no. And Tom Hopkins, in an interview, said, I was reflecting. He had no experience. There's so much involved in publishing. So I was just like, how does he get this conviction? And then I met Prabhupada, and then I understood. Guru Padashraya. Just because Prabhupada said, the impossible becomes possible. Just by the empowerment of the words, carrying out the order of the spiritual master. Within the order is the capacity to carry out the order. There's just complete faith. Not blind faith, complete faith. And again and again and again and again, that complete faith became verified. What's going on here? She won't get restless, right? Okay, we'll see. You know what to do if that happens. Okay. Guru Padashraya. And there's another really nice reference. Another really nice reference is from Bhagavad-gita. Karma-rupa. Another nice reference is Bhagavad-gita. There she goes. Bhagavad-gita, chapter 13, texts 8 through 12. Same message. Bhagavad-gita, chapter 13, is a Sankhya section, and one of the questions is, what are items of knowledge? And then comes the knowable. And the items of knowledge is a long list, and in that long list, Prabhupada says, of all of these, one is the primary and the others are secondary. Swarup Lakshana and Tatastha Lakshana. Primary is Mam Mayi Chananya Yogena Bhaktir Avyabhichari. Fixed in the devotional Avyabhichari Bhakti. Fixed in the devotional service of the personality of Godhead. And if that's missing, if one has any of the other items of knowledge, they amount to nothing. They don't bear fruit. They don't bear transcendental fruit. They may bear good karma fruit, but not transcendental fruit. So how do you get that one? And it's in text 8. Acharya upasana. You know the word upasana means worship. Approaching, Prabhupada's word for word, approaching a bona fide spiritual master. Upasana literally means worship. Karma kanda, jnana kanda, and upasana kanda. The process of worship of the Supreme. Like manmana bhava mad bhakto mad yaji. Worship. Upasana. Mad yaji. So, worship of the spiritual master. So taking shelter of the spiritual master, Guru Padashraya, same. Krishna's teaching, Rupa Goswami's teaching, they're the same. No surprise. So what does it mean? What does it really mean? So I'm going to read a commentary from the Vyavasayatmika Buddhi verse of Bhagavad-gita. Some of you are familiar, 241 Bhagavad-gita. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains Buddhi, Vyavasayatmika Buddhi, spiritual intelligence. My sadhana is to serve the lotus feet of the Lord, to remember and glorify Him as instructed by my Guru. That is also my goal. It's my sadhana, my practice. Remember from that iceberg example. And it's my sadhya, that's the bottom of the iceberg example. Not just the behavior, but the deeply held convictions. It is my life-sustaining medicine, for I cannot give up the sadhana and the sadhya. This is my most desirable object, my duty, and nothing else is my duty. That's the avyabhichari bhakti. Nothing else. Nothing else is desired, even dreams. There may be happiness or sorrow, changing of duality. Samsara may be destroyed or may not be destroyed. That is no loss for me. Let there be only resolute intelligence fixed in pure bhakti. Now that's an intention, but a deeply held intention. It may not be mature, but if it's a deeply held intention, it will help attention focus on the goal. If it's a deeply held intention, that's even in the sadhana stage. Sadhana's to the beginning. And there's the beginning, and there's the intermediate beginning, and there's the advanced beginning, and so forth. But even in the beginning, if there is that deeply held conviction. A very nice example of this, some of you have heard this before, from Brihat Bhagavatamrita. So in the part 2 of Brihat Bhagavatamrita, it's a fascinating story about a cowherd boy named Kumar. Gopa means cowherd boy. There's the Gopi and there's the Gopa. He's a cowherd boy, Gopa. And his name is Kumar, Gopal Kumar. Gopal Kumar receives mantra from Guru. His Guru, when passing the mantra on to him, just fell in a swoon of ecstasy, and he stood up and just walked away and disappeared. He didn't explain anything about the meaning of the mantra, how it was to be chanted, no further explanation. But he had faith because his spiritual master told him, this will fulfill all desire. And he has lots of, like we do, lots of other desires than avyabhichari bhakti. But he had faith in the words of his Guru. that he would meet Madan Gopal one day. We have faith, we have some faith, but Gopal Kumar's faith was like extraordinary. There's this very nice example, chapter 2. Gopal Kumar goes to heaven and something happens to Indra, and the demigods need a replacement for Indra for some time, so they select Gopal Kumar and he becomes anointed Indra for a while. And he's got all this opulence and woo, 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 and honor, but he never stops chanting his mantra. I want to read it, but it's expressed so nicely. Now, the author also wrote commentary, and that's Sanatana Goswami. For fear of being ungrateful, I never gave up my japa, nor for a moment was I able to forget Brajabhumi. And Sanatana Goswami's commentary, or the gloss of it. From Gopal Kumar's point of view, the life of tending cows in Vrindavan was more attractive than any other circumstance, including residence in Nandana Vana. That's the forested area of the King of Heaven. So the forest of Vrindavan is more attractive than the forest in the planet of Indra. As long as he continued chanting his mantra, this attitude could not be covered by illusion, because the natural effect of Sri Madan Gopal's mantra was to attract the heart to the Lord's sports in Vrindavan. Now here's wanting to avoid being ungrateful. Gopal Kumar never stopped chanting. He might justify abandoning the mantra only after attaining its final goal. If he were to stop chanting before then, he would not discover the mantra's full benefits. Thus, to stop the chanting prematurely would amount to ingratitude. We spoke this morning about gratitude. For without having bothered to receive all of the mantra's benefits, how could he properly acknowledge them? In Prahlad's teachings, na, to his father, like, what's the best thing that you've learned question? And his answer is, Dad, there's no way you're going to understand this even if I told you. Na te vidu svarta gatim hi Vishnu. Persons like you you're too attached. So better you take the easy way, just like give up the attachment and go take shelter of Hari Ashriyeta. His father didn't like that. So the sadhana and the sadhya, when received, we may not know the fullness of what has been given to us, that gift. We may acknowledge to a small degree we've received a gift and feel some gratitude in our heart. That was Gopal Kumar's situation. He wasn't matured, but he was fixed in the not changed by circumstance conviction of gratitude that would carry him to receive the fullness of what the gift of that mantra was meant to give him. He had faith that it would take him to Krishna, to Gopal Kumar, Madan Gopal. By the way, just detail, but Madan Gopal is one of our Gayatri mantras. Those of us in ISKCON. And it's one of the mantras that Brahma received. And Madan Gopal is another name of Madan Mohan, which was the deity of Sanatana Goswami. We're not Gopal Kumar, but we're in the same position of having received mantra, at least the Hare Krishna mantra, with or without initiation. But to get to the initiation stage, it's Guru Padashraya, taking shelter. What does taking shelter mean? We've received a gift, and it becomes our sadhana, our meditation on sound, from Dr. Joe's perspective. And then further understanding and further understanding. Understanding can deepen, but that keep going deeper and deeper in clarity what the goal is, and wanting to receive the fullness of that goal, which is, there's this place of higher consciousness. I know it, somewhere deep inside. There's a higher reality. I know it. I want to experience it. I want to be there. I mean, even as a goofy college kid, I had that conviction. Kind of distracted and misguided and confused and trained up in materialistic ways of life, like get the education so you can get the job and get the career and have a good life. Yeah, everyone knows that one. Finding happiness through fruitive activities. Everyone knows that one. It's not like we shouldn't do that, but that's not the goal of life. If you don't know the other one, it's by default the goal of life. But we're devotees, and there's this conviction, there is this other reality. I want to be connected with that other reality. And this will take me there. I'm not there yet, but I want to be there. I want to be connected with that, even while I'm moving in this world. That's the bottom of the iceberg. Then there's values, and then there's behaviors. That was Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary on 241. Here's Prabhupada, short. To be well versed in Krishna consciousness, one has to act firmly and obey the representative of Krishna. Act firmly and obey the representative of Krishna. And one should accept the instruction of the bona fide spiritual master as one's mission in life. That's what the lotus feet of the spiritual master means. That it goes into your heart. Or in Vishwanath's language, life and soul cannot be separated. So the instruction is one's life and soul. If you remember the message from this morning's class, a life of service to the holy name. Life and the soul can't be separated. That's vyavasayatmika buddhi. And if you're not at that place, then you'll see separation. Pritak in Sanskrit. Separatist in Prabhupada's translation of Lord Kapila's teachings. Devotional service in the modes of nature as pratak. It's like a strong word for those of you, English isn't your main language. Separatist. It's not complimentary. It's derogatory. Separatist. So, yes and no at the same time, mixed. And how do you get to unmixed? Well, the instruction goes in, and it stays there. It's in your heart. It doesn't go. It doesn't come and go with circumstance. It stays there. Life and soul. It takes some cultivation. Prabhupada writes that in the introduction to Nectar Devotion. Bhakti is a type or sort of cultivation. That's glossing the word anya abhilasha shunyam jnana karma janavatam anukulyena Krishna anushilanam. Anushilanam. Hey, we heard that word yesterday. Rupa Goswami. Anushilanam. It's what you feel and what you do. For one purpose, pleasing Krishna. My life is meant for pleasing Krishna. The external and the affective internal. And I need to align my heart with Krishna's pleasure. Supposing I'm experiencing distress. Everyone here, I could say it negatively, anyone here not experience distress? So we've all experienced distress. And when you're experiencing distress, it's easy to forget all kinds of things, like who you are and what's really important, because you get all wrapped up in the distress and like getting rid of the distress or the distressful situation and changing it or something. Lord Brahma teaches us, don't make that mistake. You may do something or not do something. And if you do something or you don't do something, don't change your position from shelter at the lotus feet of Krishna. If you're always in the mood of humble service to please Krishna, then you can choose what you do. You have freedom of choice. You don't lose your freedom. You get stronger freedom, you get stronger intelligence, you get stronger courage, you get better intelligence, you get Krishna's mercy just by staying in the position of Guru Padashraya, the instruction of the spiritual master, that is sadhana and sadhya, and there isn't anything else. I make choices with moving along the path of life. Sometimes there's good fortune, sometimes there's ill fortune. We're going to be discussing that more this evening, the misfortune part, because we seem to like the good fortune part more. But when it gets to the misfortune part, devotees get spun out. Sometimes. Many times. And there's both. So what to do when the misfortune comes, that's tonight. But it rests upon the message right now. There's shelter. Shelter in the lotus feet of spiritual master that is teaching me to take shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna. We take shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna by taking shelter of his holy name, because he has toes. He has feet that have toes and tips of their toes. And I want to serve the lotus feet of the holy name, and that way serve the lotus feet of Krishna. And the access of that is through one who's there. This, our founder Acharya. He's there. And he wants to give us that shelter too. And I have faith in that. I don't have any doubt. Not a trace of doubt. There's shelter there, and he's there beckoning us, helping us, etc., etc. That's taking shelter of the lotus feet of the spiritual master. Now, supposing you're not there yet, I know I'm not there yet. I'm trying to get there. So there comes this term, Bhaktivinoda Thakur's term is Sharanagati. Sharana is surrender, and Agati is a term that means going towards, or the cultivation, Rupa Goswami's word, cultivation of Sharana. That's sadhana towards sadhya. I'm cultivating. Rupa Goswami includes sadhana bhakti as part of uttam bhakti. Yes? The topic of nectar devotion is uttam bhakti. And the first introduction is sadhana bhakti. When it's cultivated with the proper sadhya, it's uttama. You have the proper, be clear what the goal is. You may not be there in the sadhana stage, but agati, take shelter of the instructions of the spiritual master as my life and soul. You can't separate the two. I want to read two other things. One is Canto 2, Chapter 3, something very similar to what we heard this morning, but it's in the Bhagavatam instead. Text 24, 2-3-24. Certainly that heart is steel-framed, which, in spite of chanting the holy name of the Lord with concentration, does not change. When ecstasy takes place, tears fill the eyes and the hair stand on end. So Bhava Bhakti isn't reached Even if you're trying to concentrate, even if you're concentrating to a degree, if the heart doesn't change. And why doesn't the heart change? For the same reason that we heard Srila Prabhupada explain this at Takshri Krishna Namadi. Because of offense. So I'm going to read just a part of one paragraph. The whole chapter 3 is pure devotional service. The way that it goes, the sequence is, the end of Canto 1, chapter 19, Maharaj Parikshit is asked 2 questions of Shukadeva Goswami, and those 3 chapters are an answer to those 3 questions. 2 questions. When someone knows they're about to die, what's their duty? Second question, what is that subject matter that should be heard, chanted, and always remembered? Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. But, Shrinvanti, Gayanti, Grananti. When the heart changes, then you're going to remember. And conversely, if the heart doesn't change, you'll easily forget. And we all know that. The whole process of spiritual culture is aimed at changing the heart of the living being in the matter of his eternal relation with the Supreme Lord as subordinate servant, which is his eternal constitutional position. So, with the progress of devotional service, the reaction of change in the heart is exhibited by gradual detachment from the sense of material enjoyment by a false sense of lording it over the world, and an increase in the attitude of rendering loving service to the Lord. It's a summary of Bhakti Parishano Bhava Virakti Ranyatracha. Vidhi Bhakti, or regulated devotional service by the limbs of the body, is now stressed herein in relation to the mind, which is the impetus for all activities of the limbs of the body. Rupa Goswami's shield. There's the observable behaviors, and then there's the non-observable or deeper behaviors, the feelings, the contemplations within the mind. It is expected by all means that by discharging regulated devotional service, one must manifest the change of heart. And he goes on, if it doesn't happen, it's because of offense. So, accepting the lotus feet, or worshipping or taking shelter of the lotus feet, is more than just hearing. It's hearing with a conviction that this is a Paurusheya Shabda. It's from Krishna through disciplic succession, unbroken, transmitted transparently, and that sound vibration itself can carry me to that place, to Krishna. I'm not there yet, but I have this deepening, or you can say profound conviction it will carry me there. And that's the life that I live. That's shelter at the lotus feet of the spiritual master. Just like the Bhagavatam, the Bhagavatam is another sound vibration, like the holy name. And Padma Purana says Srimad Bhagavatam has lotus feet. There's one of his 2 feet, Canto 2. Right one or left one, I don't know, but... And if you're at the feet of the form of the Lord, you're at the feet of the Lord. You're at the form of the Lord. And that being at the feet is the mood of service. Prabhupada said on multiple occasions, everything that you need to know to go back to Godhead is within the first canto. That's what he brought with him from Vrindavan. First canto. Needed editing, and he knew it. Didn't have paintings, which he wanted. But everything you need to know is there to go back to Godhead, because it's the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. Canto 1. And then he worked on Canto 2. And here's Canto 2. Pure devotional service, change in heart. By hearing. And the hearing that changes the heart, that kind of hearing. Because if hearing doesn't change the heart, you're not done yet. Like Gopal Kumar with his mantra. You're not done yet till you have the fullness of what that mantra gives. And what's the fullness? It's Lad and Gopal. And he returns to Goloka Vrindavan and meets Krishna. And it's beautiful description. What to speak of what he feels when he meets Krishna. Who says, I've been waiting so long. I thought maybe in this lifetime he'll come back. But you didn't come back. Then I thought maybe the next lifetime you'll come back, but you didn't come back. And many lifetimes passed like that. Finally I came myself. I came as your spiritual master. I gave you the mantra. And now you're back. Please don't go away again. I won't go away again. So what's really important to you? So the Guru Padashraya is the instructions that take you to what's really important. If you have another idea of what's really important to you, keep revisiting what's really important to you as you make progress on the path of bhakti, and maybe it'll get refined instead of the mixed, something that's unmixed, because that's the gift. Don't beat yourself up if it's mixed, but strive to refine the fullness of the gift that's being given. That's this gratitude message from this morning. And there, the lotus feet of Krishna. Because that's where great souls are. I'm pointing to Prabhupada, one great soul. That's where he is. And he wants to take us there. And his representatives are trying to get there because he wants us to get there. And also we want to get there. It's a team effort. And follow those who are going there or are already there. Keep that association vibrant in your life. That's Guru Padashraya. When that submission slackens, this is Bhakti Siddhanta's language, what happens when submission slackens is the previous samskaras, that is our affinity for the temporary, return. Whatever those things were, the subtle body is carrying them, and if there's submission, you're protected. If submission slackens, there they are, staring you in the face again. Come on and enjoy me. Come on and enjoy me. This is Prabhupada in a lecture at Henry Street. Come on and enjoy me so I can kick you in the face. That's Maya. But you're protected from Maya if the submission unto the lotus feet of Guru and Krishna are there. Those impressions may still be there, but bhakti, when it's shuddha, it dissolves the whole thing. Up to the root. Now you'll hear some more about that tonight. Okay, so where's our MC? Okay. we're ready for whatever's next.
Sure. Thank you very much, Guru Maharaj. So next, we will call on Anasuya